Okay, this is the... Sorry, I'm dog sitting, and the dog's playing with this toy. We're going to ignore that. This is part 2 of Monday's Wonder assignment. Lucy, today instead of looking at me, I'm going to have you look at my Christmas tree. I think that's better than having to stare at me. This is called Voices in the Dark. Finally, after what seemed like a forever of running, someone yelled, "Excuse me one moment, please. Lucy, stop it." Finally, after what seemed like a forever of running, someone yelled, "I think we lost him." "Amos, I'm right here." And Amos's voice a few feet behind us. "We can stop," Miles yelled from farther up. "Jack," I yelled. "Whoa," said Jack, "I'm here." "I can't see a thing." "Are you sure we lost him?" Henry asked, letting go of my arm. That's when I realized that he'd been the one who was pulling me as I ran. "Yeah, shh, listen." We all got super quiet, listening for footsteps in the dark. All we could hear were the crickets and frogs, and our own crazy panting. We were out of breath, stomachs hurting, bodies bent over our knees. "We lost him," said Henry. "Whoa, that was intense. What happened to the flashlight? I dropped it." "How'd you guys know?" said Jack. "We saw them before. They look like jerks." "You just rammed into him," I said to Amos. "I know, right?" laughed Amos. "He didn't even see it coming," said Miles. "He was like, 'Are you a freak too?' And you were like, 'Bam,'" said Jack. "Bam," said Amos, throwing a fake punch in the air. But after I tackled him, I was like, "Run, Amos, you schmuck. He's 10 times bigger than you." And I got up and started running as fast as I could. We all started laughing. I grabbed Doggy and was like, "Run," said Henry. "I didn't even know it was like you pulling me," I answered. "That was wild," said Amos, shaking his head. "Totally wild." "Hey, your lip's bleeding, dude." "I got in a couple good punches," answered Amos, wiping his lip. "I think they were 7th graders. They were huge." "Losers," Henry shouted really loudly, but we all hushed him. We listened for a second to make sure no one had heard him. "Where the heck are we?" asked Amos. "I can't even see the screen." "I think we're in the cornfields," answered Cat and dog are running. I don't want to start this over because I've already read 2 minutes. They're fighting. I'm dog sitting. "I think we're in cornfields," answered Henry. "Duh, we're in cornfields," said Miles, pushing a corn stalk at Henry. "Okay, I know exactly where we are," said Amos. "We have to go back in this direction. That'll take us to the other side of the field." "Yo, dudes," said Jack, his hand high in the air. "That was really cool of you guys to come back for us. Really cool. Thanks." "No problem," answered Amos, high-fiving Jack. And then Miles and Henry high-fived him too. "Yeah, dudes, thanks," I said, holding my palms up like Jack had. And though I wasn't sure if they'd high-five me too, Amos looked at me and nodded. "It was cool how you stood your ground, little dude," he said, high-fiving me. "Yeah, Augie," said Miles, high-fiving me too. "You were like, we're a little littler than you guys." I didn't know what else to say, I laughed. "Very cool," said Henry, and he high-fived me too. "Sorry I ripped your sweatshirt." I looked down and my sweatshirt was completely torn down the middle. One sleeve was ripped off and the other was so stretched out it was hanging down at my knees. "Hey, your elbow's bleeding," said Jack. "Yeah," I shrugged. It was starting to hurt a lot. "You okay?" said Jack, seeing my face. I nodded. Suddenly I felt like crying and I was trying really hard not to do that. "Wait, your hearing aids are gone," said Jack. "What?" I yelled, touching my ears. The hearing aid band was definitely gone. That's why I felt like I was underwater. "Oh no," I said, and that's when I couldn't hold it in anymore. Everything that had just happened kind of hit me and I couldn't help it. I started to cry, like big crying, like Mom would call the waterworks. I was so embarrassed I hid my face in my arm, but I couldn't stop the tears from coming. The guys were really nice to me though. They patted me on the back. "You're okay, dude, it's okay," they said. "You're one brave little dude, you know that," said Amos, putting his arm around my shoulders. And when I kept on crying, he put both arms around me, like my dad would have done, and let me cry. The Emperor's Guard. I have to check the plug. Hold on. The Emperor's Guard. We backtracked through the grass for a good 10 minutes to see if we could find the hearing aids, but it was way too dark to see anything. We literally had to hold on to each other's shirts and walk in single file so we wouldn't trip over one another. It was like black ink had been poured all around. "This is hopeless," said Henry. "They could be anywhere." "Maybe we can come back with a flashlight," answered Amos. "No, it's okay," I said. "Let's just go back. Thanks, though." We walked back toward the cornfields and then cut through them until the back of the giant screen came into view. Since it was facing away from us, we didn't get any light from the screen at all until we walked around to the edge of the woods again. That's where we started to finally see the light. There was no sign of the 7th graders anywhere. "Where do you think they went?" said Jack. "Back to food truck," said Amos. "They're probably thinking we're going to report them." "Are we?" asked Henry. They looked at me. I shook my head. "Okay," said Amos, "but little dude, don't walk around here alone again, okay? If you need to go somewhere, tell us, and we'll go with you." "Okay," I nodded. As we got closer to the screen, I could hear, high on a hill was a lonely gathered, and could smell the cotton candy from one of the concession stands near the food trucks. There were lots of kids milling around in this area, so I pulled what was left of my hoodie over my head and kept my face down, hands in pockets, as we made our way through the crowd. It had been a long time since I'd been without my hearing aids, and it felt like I was miles under the earth. It felt like that song Miranda used to sing to me. "Ground control to Major Tom. Your circuit's dead. There's something wrong." I did notice as I walked that Amos had stayed right next to me, and Jack was close on the other side of me, and Miles was in front of us, and Henry in back of us. They were surrounding me as we walked through the crowds of kids, like I had my own Emperor's Guard. Sleep. I stopped there. I'd been reading for over an hour and sleep didn't come. It was almost 2 a.m. Everyone else was asleep. I had my flashlight on under the sleeping bag, and maybe the light was why I couldn't sleep. But I too was afraid to turn it off. I was afraid of how dark it was outside the sleeping bag. When we got back to our section in front of the movie screen, no one had even noticed we'd been gone. Mr. Tushman and Miss Rubin and Summer and all the rest of the kids were just watching the movie. They had no clue how something bad had almost happened to me and Jack. It was so weird how that could be. How you could have a night that's the worst of your life, but to everybody else it's just an ordinary night. Like on my calendar at home, I'd mark this as being one of the most horrific days of my life. This and the day Daisy died. But for the rest of the world, this was just an ordinary day. Or maybe it was even a good day. Maybe somebody won the lottery today. Amos, Miles, and Henry brought me and Jack over where we'd been sitting before with Summer, Maya, and Reed. And then they went and sat where they'd been sitting before, with Examina and Savannah in their group. In a way, everything was exactly as we had left it. Before we went looking for the toilets, the sky was the same. The movie was the same. Everyone's faces were the same. Mine was the same. But something was different. Something had changed. I could see Amos and Miles and Henry telling their group what had happened. I knew they were talking about it because they kept looking over at me while they were talking. Even though the movie was still playing, people were whispering about it in the dark. News like that spreads fast. It was what everyone was talking about on the bus ride back to the cabins. All the girls, even girls I didn't know very well, were asking me if I was okay. The boys were all talking about getting revenge on the group of 7th grade jerks trying to figure out what school they were from. I wasn't planning on telling the teachers about any of what had happened, but they found out anyway. Maybe it was from the torn sweatshirt and the bloody elbow, or maybe it was just that teachers hear everything. Oh, we do. When we got back to the camp, Mr. Tushman took me to the first aid office, and while I was getting my elbow cleaned and bandaged up by the camp nurse, Mr. Tushman and the camp director were in the next room talking with Amos and Jack and Henry and Miles, trying to get a description of the troublemakers. When he asked me about them a little later, I said I couldn't remember their faces at all, which wasn't true. It's their faces that I keep seeing every time I close my eyes to sleep. The total look of horror on the girl's face when she first saw me. The way the kid with the flashlight, Eddie, looked at me as he talked to me. Like he hated me. Like a lamb to the slaughter. I remember Dad saying that ages ago. But tonight, I think I finally got what it meant.